Okay, Harry, this is Lord Potato. Sorry, I keep burping. But yeah, Harry, this is Lord Potato. And this is what if Naruto was a reincarnation of Zaraki Kenpachi and was neglected? Part 5? Okay, I don't remember what part. No, not part 5. Part 6, yes. I fucked up. But yeah. That, and I had a very stressful day. Not stressful like yesterday. Mostly a very, well, disaster today. Today it started flooding. Yeah, and I can't go anywhere. I need to go somewhere to the store to get something and other things, but I can't because it's right now just a fucking river in my fucking backyard. But yeah. But not the point. So we go into, before I go into, go subscribe to Anime Sensei, Iconic What Ifs, and Obito What Ifs. Iconic is about to get out of school in about June the 24th, I think so. He probably will start doing more What Ifs, but since his schedule is kind of wonky, yeah. Other than that, Anime Sensei, I don't know where he's at, and Obito, I feel like he gave up on What Ifs after even he just tried the first time. Not the point, but still just go subscribe to them, try to help them out. But other than that, let me continue on this what if until part 6. Yeah, part 6. So we go into Naruto kind of with Menma. Enma. This is where Enma says, "I'm gonna really use this sword." This is where, well, Naruto says, "Come on, let's just get to the tower." This is where Enma says, "Okay, little brother." This is where, well, they're going. Of course, this is where Kenpachi's team does get there first. Well, not first, real first. No, Gaara's team was there first. Then it was the ones that Naruto saw, the sound and even the cloud. Then it was Naruto's team, and then it was Enma's team, and then it was Menma and Sasuke's team after their little encounter of, well, the sound ninjas. And I'm not going into what happens in the sound ninjas because whatever. But of course, this is where, well, everyone is getting there. But of course, Naruto's team was kind of second day. Well, not second day. They were on the first day. So yeah, Menma and Sasuke's team kind of got there on like the third day. But yeah. But of course, we go into Naruto. Naruto is now in the preliminary rounds. So yeah, I'm going to 5 days later. Now it's the preliminary rounds. So we go into Naruto. So of course the preliminary rounds start, and of course this is where sorry about that. Of course this is where, well, Naruto's team is there in the preliminary rounds, and of course there's a bunch of teams. And since there's a bunch of teams, there has to do the preliminary rounds. This is where, well, they go through the preliminary rounds. This is where, well, the first match is Kiba versus, well, Naruto. So it was that first match. This is where, well, Naruto is going against Kiba. Now, of course, this is where, well, since that is happening, this is where, well, Kiba says, "Okay, Akamara, let's do this. Let's beat up that darkness ninja." This is where Naruto goes, That's where Kiba says, "You might be scary and all that ugliness or whatever, but you won't be able to defeat me." Kiba's arrogant ass voice. This is where Naruto says, "This guy's annoying." This is where, well, Minato thought that this kid was not a fucking kid, but he was confused if this guy was a kid or not. But then again, he can't really complain because there's some people that are actually taller than a Jonin. So yeah, this is where Minato doesn't care. This is where Naruto says, "So I guess I'm me going against you, dog boy." This is where Kiba says, "What did you call me?" Whatever. He rushes towards Naruto with the Tensagon. Well, not Tensagon. The Tetsu. I forgot the name. But of course, this is where he already did get Akamaru to being in his kind of little bit human form or whatever, like Kiba and all, like a Kiba clone or whatever. And of course, I do say, I don't remember. Okay. I tried to remember. It was on top of my tongue, but I can't remember. But tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. Yeah, of course, is where Naruto says, well, that was interesting. Two spinning tornadoes coming towards me. Naruto doesn't block it, doesn't dodge it, doesn't even care about it. Gets hit by both of the attacks, and this is where he gets sent towards the wall, or not even wall. He's sent to the ground, and this is where, well, Kiba says, "Ha! I won." This is where, well, Emma says, I don't really like that guy anyway. This is where Naruto says, are you done already? You seem pathetic as hell. This is where Kiba widened his eyes. That attack was direct, but Naruto just took that shit like it was nothing. This is where Naruto says, I thought this was a battle to the death. Wait, is there allowed to be killing? He looks at the proctor. The proctor says, yeah. Okay. This is where Naruto... Well, he didn't tell the proctor. He did remember asking May if there was killing allowed. May says that it's a tuning exams. There's killing allowed. There's nothing that can stop you from killing people or not. Naruto nodded. So of course this is where Naruto says, you know you're pathetic as hell. That shit didn't even hurt me. Naruto's like dusting his clothes. This is what Kiba and Akamaru widened their eyes. Everyone widens their eyes. Naruto took that head on, but Naruto just didn't care. Naruto says, was that supposed to hurt me, or was that supposed to just tickle me? Because it did tickle me. This is where Kiba says, Tetsuga! This is where he does it again. And this is where Naruto says, I'm gonna just be done with this. He pulls out his blade, the Shinkai, you know? Not Shikai. The Shikai. And of course, this is where he swings his blade once. Or not once, twice. Just an X motion. And this is where Naruto puts his blade back into his, like, well, sheath. And this is where it goes cling. This is where Naruto walks away. This is where the proctor says, do you give up? Naruto says, no. It's just, well, look at the dog people. They're already dead. This is where the proctor says, what do you... Both, what's it called? Akamaru and Kiba's head went flying. This is where the proctor widened his eyes. No one saw that speed. Only Minato managed to see the speed a little bit, but it was too fast for him. He widened his eyes. This kid is too powerful and dangerous. This is where Hinata, Menma, Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai, and even, Kakashi, Asuma, and others, they're kind of widening their eyes. Also, Karanai, I forgot her name, but yeah. This is where, well, they're widening their eyes. They did not see that speed. This is where Naruto walks up, sits next to, well, not sits next to, he kind of stands next to his team, but yeah. Or should I say quotation, team somewhat, because it's really not his team. He just got there because to go into the training exam, he needed 3 people. And since Mist Village is still kind of close to borders, they can't really send a team of Mist Ninjas that much. This is where, well, Naruto says, pathetic. This is where everyone in their eyes, they did not see that swing of power. But Naruto, even though he might just swing randomly like Kenpachi, or not randomly, mostly swing at his enemies and intending to kill him. Yeah, Naruto still has that. But Naruto does have what they call styles of swords using, because he did train in the Mist Village in using his sword styles, instead of just running out there and trying to, well, kill people at the same time getting cut. So yeah. Now, I should mention, Naruto's durability is off the charts. He is tough as fuck. This is where, well, Naruto, he's right now just closing one of his eyes and waiting for the next match. The next match, it is Sakura versus Shiroi. This is where Sakura goes down there and says, I must do this for Sasuke-kun. This is where Shiroi says, am I going against some pink-haired bitch? So annoying. This is where Sakura rushes at Shiroi and throwing kunais and then shurikens and trying to plan it out, but she sucked at that right now because she's just thinking of Sasuke-kun. And this is where Shiroi, she blocks the kunais and shurikens. This is where Shiroi appeared right in front of Sakura, having her sword in her hand and slashing at Sakura's chest. This is where Sakura goes, Ugh. This is where she widens her eyes. she realized that this opponent does not give a shit about her. Even though Sakura thought that this girl was a girl and she's also a girl, that she thinks she probably had a chance. Shiroi didn't care, had no mercy or intent in her eyes. Her eyes are silver and somewhat look like a snake. This is where, well, Sakura widened her eyes, and this is where Shiroi was about to kill Sakura by stabbing her sword through what's called the girl's neck. But then she realized that might cause her a little bit of trouble scene, and instead just walks away and said that you should probably get the poison out of her to the proctor. This is where the proctor widened his eyes and realized that sword might have poison. This is where he tells the medical ninjas to take her, or take Sakura away, but yeah. This is where Shiroi just wins and goes off. This is where the next person is, well, Ino versus Samui. This is where Samui kind of just looks at Ino and just shakes her head because she can see Ino is too scrawny, not enough meat on her bones. Because same with Sakura, because they basically had that dye and all that. And this is where Samui says, seriously, I'm gonna have to be fighting against some useless girl. This is where Ino says, I'm not useless. This is where I'm not Sakura. This is where she goes, mind transfer jutsu. This is where Samui dodges out of the way. This is where, well, she kind of blitzes Ino really fast after Ino tried to do the mind transfer jutsu, and somebody did stab her she had a tanto, puts lightning in it, and stab Ino right in the neck. This is where Ino coughed up blood. This is where the proctor widened his eyes. These villages do not seem to care about, like, fighting that much. Mostly going for the intent to kill. This is where Minato can't do anything because this is basically the match. Somebody says, I thought you were gonna dodge. I thought it was just gonna hit you like near your chest. You're an idiot. You should have dodged. This is where Ino widened her eyes and dies. This is where Shikamaru and Choji widened their eyes. Asuma widened his eyes saying, damn it. This is where somebody says, you're just a useless girl and will always be useless. Pulls out her tanto and just wipes the blood on what's called Ino because she doesn't want to have that blood. This is where Shiroi smirks at Samui. This is where Samui flares at her. This is where, well, Karu kind of says, damn, Samui, I never thought you were going to be that codeless. This is where, well, codeless. This is where Samui says, I wasn't supposed to be codeless. I was just going to stab her like in the arm or something. Thought she was going to dodge. Instead, she decides to just stand still like an idiot. These Konoha ninjas are stupid. This is where Tamari went against Tenten, and instead of killing Tenten, she just knocked her the fuck out. This is where Tamari saying, are you serious? These Konoha ninjas are so pathetic. Especially the Kunoichis. 2 Kunoichis are already dead from different villages, and one I easily knocked out. How are you guys this pathetic? This is where, well, next it is Suki versus, well, what's it called? Suki versus Hinata. This is where Suki was right now trying to fight against Hinata using her own abilities. It's kind of her abilities are kind of using this crystal style, this kind of amethyst style, and this is what she says: amethyst style of dark roar. This is where multiple dark what's it called amethysts appears from the ground trying to pierce Hinata. Hinata managed to dodge. And this is where she can use her Byakugan to see where the chakra waves are coming from. And this is where she realizes it's coming from everywhere. So this is where she does rotation and blocks all the attacks and rushes towards Suki. Suki widened her eyes, and this is where Suki says, damn it, I lost. This is where she gets hit multiple times. And she was about to get killed until Naruto appears to grab the finger from actually grabbing while hitting Suki. This is where, well, Suki says, Zaraki. This is where Naruto says, hey, whatever. I'm taking you to the medical room. Give up already. This is where Suki says, I give up. This is where, well, Hinata says, hey, what is the big deal? You were gonna try to kill her. Just because your stupid mutt friend died in an incident wasn't my fault. He was just too arrogant. Clearly, you're just retarded. This is where Hinata gets angry and tries to attack Naruto. And Naruto doesn't even phase. He doesn't even care if Hinata's trying to attack him. This is where, well, the proctor says, stop. This is where Suki's unable to battle you, Hinata, Hyuga. This is where, well, Hinata glares at Naruto's back of his head. But Naruto doesn't care. This is where Naruto takes Suki towards the medical room, but yeah. Next match is Sasuke versus one of Kabuto's teammates. This is where Kabuto's teammate still gets knocked the fuck out. And yeah. This is where, well, next is, Neji versus Shinkai. This is where Shinkai says, great, I'm gonna have to go against one of the goddamn, what's it called? Another fucking Hyuga. Fuck. This is where Neji says, you know you should give up. Destiny is on my side, and you will never win. This is where Shinkai says, sure, I give up. This is where the proctor says, are you sure? No, I'm just kidding you, dumbass. This is where the proctor says, fine. Begin. This is where Shinkai sends a water attack at, well, a high pressure, so fast water attack towards Neji, and Neji managed to almost dodge. This is where he gets cut in his arm. This is where he winds his eyes. That attack was so fast. And that water is not water. It is a deep sea blue color. This is where, well, the proctor winds his eyes. This is where, well, Shinkai rushes at, well, Neji, intending to cut him with a kunai. And this is where Neji dodges it. Neji then uses his palm strike. This is where, well, Shinkai threw the kunai at, well, Neji. Neji managed to catch it, but this is where Shinkai pulls out two tonsils. These tonsils have a blue handle, a dark blue handle, and the blade is kind of black. And this is where Shinkai says, sea serpent blade of deep sea double slice. This is where he slashes at Neji so fast, and Neji tries to, well, see the movements of the, what's it called, well, person from darkness, but his Byakugan couldn't keep up because this was not just chakra, it was also speed. Cut through Neji's, well, like, chest, and then this is where Neji has an X. This is where widen his eyes. This is where Shinkai appeared next and kicked him right in the head. This is where Neji smashes into the wall. This is where Shinkai is having both of his tonsils up in the air. Well, not up in the air right now, on his hands. And this is where he's just getting ready to fight against Neji. He's trying to get up. And this is where Shinkai threw one of his tonsils real fast at Neji. Didn't hit him in the head. Hit him right in the arm. Stabbed him straight towards the wall. And this is where Shinkai rushes at him. And this is what he says. Deep sea blue. Well, not deep sea blue. He says, Levante, well, sea serpent deep sea kick. Boom! He hits Neji right in the face, like hitting him like right in the side of the head. This is where Neji gets his head kind of rocked around. This is where he's kind of confused right now, well, trying to get his head in control. And this is where, well, Shinkai then grabs his tonsil out of Neji's chest, kicks him right in the chin, knocking him out, fully out. Because Neji, he couldn't react fast enough. This is where Shinkai says, this Hyuga's out of my way. Proctor, he looks like he passed out. The proctor says, at least Neji didn't get killed. This is where Shinkai, he decides to go back up to his like stand. Well, up towards his team. Well, mostly his teacher. And this is where he puts both tonsils back into his back because he has a like place to put it. And yeah, this is where, oh, he goes up, and this is where his teacher says, good job, Shinkai. This is where Shinkai nodded. This is where, well, the next match is Sai versus, well, Shino. Shino was fighting against Sai, and Sai, every time he uses his paintings and all that, Shino's bug just eats all the paint and chakra. He just destroys all of it. Destroys mostly the chakra, and then, well, eats the chakra and destroys the paint. This is where, well, Shino realized, well, not Shino, Sai realized that this is unfair, and so he decides to give up. Right there and now. This is where, well, Shino nodded and decided to walk away. This is where the next match, it is, well, a girl from the Sound Village who's on Shiroi's team, who has, well, this kind of like lightish blue hair and kind of brown eyes, versus Esdeath. So this is where this girl can use this crystal style, who is fighting against Esdeath. This is where she tries to attack Esdeath, and this is where Esdeath is easily dodging. Well, this girl's crystal style. This is where Esdeath then uses ice style to kind of freezes this person's on place. And this is where the person widen his, well, not widen his eyes, widen her eyes. And this is where she realized that this person can use ice style. And this is where she kind of smirked because she can use crystal style. So she changes the ice style into crystal. And this is where she sends multiple crystal like shards at Esdeath, but Esdeath blocked it with an ice wall. And this is where they keep fighting, but this is where Esdeath rushes at her with a ice made blade and cuts her down. Really not killing her, just like cutting her down. This is where she goes down to the ground, and this is where she's bleeding from the chest. This is where she's like, I give up. This is where the proctor says, Esdeath has won, and now going on to the next match. This is where, the next person, it is, Menma, he is going against, not Enma. Enma was narrowing his eyes at Menma because he wants to go against him and easily cut him down. But this is where he wants to wait for the final tuning there. This is where Menma, he is going against, Kankuro. This is where Kankuro is fighting against, Menma. And of course, this is where, Menma managed to get his ass, almost get his ass kicked by puppets. But this is where Enma managed to go into the Nine-Tailed Cloak and beat the shit out of, Kankuro. Almost killing Kankuro. This is where Kankuro managed to substitute it away and says, I give up. This is where, Minato just like, he hated the fact that Menma had to use that power. This is where, he then looked at his second child, Enma. And Enma has been very calm and cool and thinking all that. This is where Amoe is going against Shikamaru. And Shikamaru just says, I guess I'm gonna go against you. Amoe says, yeah, but I'm not gonna try to kill you. This is where Shikamaru says, why not? Shikamaru says, it's such a drag and I don't want to die, so I give up. This is where Amoe says, I guess I'm going on to the next match. This is where the proctor says, damn, Naruto's all the time. This is where Choji, he's going against Enma. And of course, this is where Enma doesn't hate Choji. And this is where Enma says, I'm sorry, Choji, but I have to win. This is where Choji says, it's fine. I don't want to die, neither. So I'm going to give up. This is where the proctor says, this is where Asuma says, I can't really blame them. Just died right in front of them, so I can't really blame them. This is where Enma says, fine, I understand. This is where, Karu was going against, one of, Karu from Someone's team was going against, someone from the Sound team who was actually able to use, not chains, just has, chain weapons and has a kunai on it. That actually was the one to stab into Kenpachi one time. And this is where, she goes against Karu, but Karu managed to kind of add lightning to her blade and right now just electrify this girl. And of course, she gets knocked out. Because she never did fight against Karu in the Death Forest. She was fighting against Amoe, but this is where Karu managed to just electrify her. And this is where she passes out. But yeah. This is where, Naruto says, this is very interesting. He got back to his team, but yeah. This is where, the next match will be, the next match is, the last Kabuto's teammate, one of the last Kabuto's teammates, versus, a Sound Ninja from, Sound. And that's mostly the guy with the gauntlet, but this is where the guy with the gauntlet managed to overpower that guy and knock them out with the Sound. It's where Kim, who is on that team, except for the guy with arms because he has his arms exploded, but yeah, you can't really use him because his arms did not explode, but mostly got cracked and all that. It's mostly Kim versus a team from Rain, but this Rain Kunoichi, she was the only one because her other teammates did give up easily. This girl is, not from Rain Country, mostly from Iron Country. She only came towards, recently towards a village, and of course, not a village, she kind of came from, she came from Iron Country, but then she went to Snow Country and realized that she can go enroll into the Chunin exam, so she decided to go, but her team decided to give up because they weren't going to fight and die and all that. So of course, this girl has purple hair, has kind of a straw hat on top, not a straw hat like Luffy's, but those straw hats a little bit, to kind of cover up a little bit the shade and all that. Cover up with shade and all that. She has one purple eye and one blue eye. This is where, she has two swords on her back. And of course, this is where she kind of doesn't dress up like a samurai casually. She has shorts, she got sandals, she has a jacket, and yeah. And a shirt, I should mention, but yeah. This is where this girl is named, Her name was Akina versus Kim. This is where Kim smirked and tried to put Akina in a genjutsu where her like sound waves. But this is where Akina didn't get affected much because she kind of had some earbuds in her ear because, well, technology in Snow Country is very advanced thanks towards, well, Mist Country kind of helping Snow Country at the same time. So, yeah. So, of course, I have mostly secret traits, but yeah. This is where she's kind of hearing music a little bit. And this is where she kind of fights against Kim. And Kim is trying to attack her. But it seems that the genjutsu doesn't work. And this is where Akina pulls out one of her blades and cuts Kim down and cuts her head off. This is where, well, Akina walks back, but yeah. This is where, well, people are kind of winding their eyes. But this is where Akina is kind of sitting next towards, well, Darkness team. Because she does have an alliance with Darkness. Well, not her especially, mostly the whole country. Snow Country. And it's kind of known a little bit, not much. This is where, well, she does have her sensei like right next to her, but yeah. This is where, well, what's it called? Her other two teammates is right next to her, but yeah. Other than that, this is where Gara versus, Gara versus Rock Lee still happens, and this is where Rock Lee, he does use the third gate. Well, mostly not the third gate. The first, second, third, yep. And fights against not Rock Lee. Gara, but Gara still uses so much sand to almost crush Rock Lee, but this is where my guy appears and kind of knocks the sand away. This is where, well, Rock Lee was taken out of there, but yeah, it's still kind of sad. But this is where, we go into the, final round, mostly the final, what's called, tuning exam. But this is where they say, so the final tuning exam will start in 1 month. This is where you have enough time to train, get new abilities and other things, and yeah. This is where, well, the matches are selected by a spin of the draw. And this is where Naruto goes up first against, well, he goes up against first Gara. This is where next it is Enma versus Menma. This is where people are kind of wondering, are they brothers? This is where Menma says, of course we're brothers. Well, I'm the strongest here. This is where Enma kind of narrows his eyes. And of course he really wants to say something like to piss off, well, Menma. And this is where, well, Enma kind of shuts up. This is where next match is, well, Shoroi versus Samui. This is where, well, Shoroi kind of smirks at Samui. Samui just narrows her eyes. This is where Karu is going against someone named Estef. This is where Karu looks for the girl with blue hair, sees that she's right next to the boy named Emma, but yeah. This is where Shino is going against, well, Amoe. This is where Amoe says, great, I should just give up. This is where Karu says, if you give up, I'm punching you right in the head. It's knocking you out and making you stay in a coma for 3 months. This is where Amoe says, chill, chill, chill. This is where, well, the next match is, well, Sasuke versus, who to put Sasuke against? Sasuke versus Shinkai. And this is where Shinkai says, I guess I'm going against the Uchiha. I already did beat the shit out of the Hyuga. Guess it's the Uchiha next. This is where, well, Sasuke kind of smirks and says, I'm definitely going to win against him. He has no clan. This is where Enma kind of narrows his eyes, knowing that Sasuke is also arrogant as fuck. And Sasuke thinks that the Fireball is going to win against a water user, especially someone that has the highest infinity of water. This is where, well, next match is Hinata versus, well, Akina. And this is where Akina says, I guess I'm going to go against a Hyuga. This is where, well, I should mention Akina's height. Akina's height is not, well, short. She's actually pretty tall. She's 5'5". And this is where, well, she says, I guess I'm going against someone short. This sucks. This is where, well, the next match from that on it is, what's it called? Okay, I think that's all of them. I'm trying to think of what else am I missing. But yeah, that's all of them. This is where, well, mostly the important ones. But mostly this is where the practice says, okay, this is the 1 month, this is where the Hokage does a speech. Naruto ignores it. This is where Emma tries to ignore it, but doesn't close his eyes. This is where everyone kind of, some of them has their eyes closed, some of them don't. But yeah, this is where Menma is saying, that's good, Dad. And this is where, well, Emma doesn't say anything. This is where, well, Naruto does know that he kind of did neglect his other child from training, so he kind of understands a little bit why Enma isn't really kind of talking much, but yeah. But this is where he kind of happy that his other son, his oldest one, is happy. This is where, well, everyone started leaving, and everyone just started leaving. This is where, well, Enma's like, wait, not Karana. Karana wasn't the team of Hinata or Kiba, but she was wiping her eyes when those people did get killed. This is where Karana then told what's it called her team. Wait, team of that Kushina was there and wiping her eyes, but yeah, just remember that. Fuck. But yeah, of course, Karana then get her team out of there. So of course gets Enma, Estef, and even Shino. Sorry, I almost said someone else's name. But yeah, Shino. And of course, this is where, well, Darkness Country does leave. Well, mostly his team. Naruto does decide to leave, but yeah. But before leaving, he did tell Enma about the plan and what was going to happen. Before the whole what's it called preliminary rounds even happened. So of course, Enma does have in mind and what's going to happen in the future coming. This is where whoever Naruto is going to fight in the final tuning exam, Naruto is going to do a huge ass attack that will explode, well, what they call a part of Konoha, making the army kind of happen. Mostly the army that's aligned with the Mist Village. And this is where, well, everything will go down and break just really far down. Estef did also get told by this plan by Enma, and Shino, he decides to hear a little bit, but he doesn't care. He doesn't mind. He's not gonna tell anyone. This is where, yeah, everyone is going in their separate ways, and this is where Kurenai says, "So, who wants to be trained?" This is where, well, Kurenai is going to train them separately, trying to, but this is where Enma says, "I'll be training by myself." This is where Kurenai says, "Are you sure?" This is where Enma says, "Yeah." This is where SF says, "I'll be also trained by myself." This is where Shino decides to train with Kurenai, but yeah. This is where Kurenai realized that she gets to train one kid, but yeah. This is where, well, the next was called Naruto goes back to darkness, but really he goes back to the Mist Village. So of course he takes a turn towards Mist Village and told Darkness, Darkness Ninja that he will be going to the finals, but he needs to talk to his Mizukage. This is where they nodded, and this is where Tetsu, who is basically, not Tetsu, I think it was, Tetsu, yeah, who nodded and told Naruto to see him. And this is where Naruto disappeared and ran towards his, well, Mist Village? Oh, yeah, Mist Village. Sees, what's it called, Yuri? Or not Yuri, what am I talking about? Yuriichi? Sorry. Yuriichi, who is right now just playing with Junko and, Hakin. And this is what Naruto says, "It seems that you have been a friendly time." This is where, well, Yuriichi looks up and says, "Dad!" And this is where Junko and Hakin says, "Hey, Kenpachi." This is where Naruto says, "Hey." This is where they say, "So, how was the, kind of tuning exam?" "Not bad. In 1 month, we're going to attack and destroy it. So, I hope you two are prepared to destroy a village I hated." This is where, well, they say, "Yeah, we're fine. But who's gonna protect Yoriichi?" "Yoriichi can protect herself. She's a strong girl." This is where Yoriichi says, "Yeah, I'm strong." This is where Naruto smiles, and this is where both Hakin and Junko right now having heart in their eyes because it's so adorable to see, well, Yoriichi kind of say that she's strong and all. But yeah, or not hearts, mostly stars in her eyes, but yeah, because it's kind of adorable. But yeah, this is where, well, Yoriichi says, "So, Dad, are you gonna train me?" This is where Naruto says, "Yeah, let me just talk to Mei." That's where Yoriichi says, "Yeah, we're going to see Auntie Mei." This is where, well, they go see mostly Mei. And this is where Mei says, "So, how was the tuning exam?" "Good." "Did you give the sword towards your brother?" "Yeah." "Did he agree to horse to destroy the village?" "Yep." This is where Mei says, "I see. Well, in 1 month, we can see how strong your brother would be with that sword." This is where Naruto nodded. This is where Yoriichi says, "I'm gonna be training. I'm gonna show everyone that I'm strong. I'm the son of Zaraki Kenpachi. My name is Yoraishi Kenpachi. That's where May says, "Aw, so adorable." She kind of patting, Yoraichi in the head because Yoraichi is adorable for her, but yeah. That's where Yoraichi says, "I'm not adorable, I'm a menace." This is where Naruto smiles, and this is where May kind of ignore that part, but she starts just saying, "So adorable." Hugs Yoraichi because May really likes Yoraichi, but yeah. This is where, for 1 month, we go into a time skip of 1 month later. Naruto's going back towards, the side with the darkness ninjas. So he does meet up with them and they go back towards the Leaf Village. This is where, Enma has been training with his sword, the King of Hell, Enma. This is where, Enma has been getting stronger and also getting stronger in his, nine-tailed cloak. He now has a mastery of, 7 tails. And his, the sword does give him an increase in demonic magic power. Because he actually, when he's in the 7-tailed cloak and has those bones growing off of him and all that, like in the Bija form, that's where the crown of flames appeared, and they're actually, instead of being like, I would say red, like or almost like color and all that, it's purple, and it actually changes the color of, the color of the QB power. And instead of being red, it's purple and red together. This is where, Enma's eyes and the cubic cloak, instead of being just white, and his mouth being a white sharp and all that, instead of being that color, it's actually purple also, but it has like a fiery red in his eyes. Like, not purple, I'm gonna say, like dark blue a little bit. This is where, he can also use the sword while in this cloak, but yeah. This is where, he's getting more powerful and powerful. SF is also training by herself, kind of learning how to use her ice style. But SF did find out something interesting in her family. This is where her family did give her a sword that was actually for her when she ever did become a Chunin. And this is where SF nodded. And this is where SF did become stronger with the sword. Now I'll mention that sword later. This is where, she's able to kind of have an ice crown. Similar towards Enma's kind of crown of flames, which she then gets stronger with. But yeah, this is where, Shino, he gets stronger with his bugs, but also gets new types of bugs from his clan and the training with Kurenai. So he's really good in detecting genjutsu really easily. Either a strong genjutsu or weak genjutsu, doesn't matter. He's able to detect it really easily. This is where, other people are getting stronger, but yeah. This is where, we go into the final Chunin exam. But wait, let me see something for a second. So I want you to just look outside in the flood just to see if the water is already disappearing. It's disappearing very slow, and I know it's going to be muddy as hell, so I hope not to slip. But yeah, other than that, let me go back into what if. So this is where, Naruto, he is just going towards the final Chunin exam. When they get there, this is where, everyone is kind of getting into the stadium, but yeah. This is where Naruto's first match is against, Gaara. Gaara kind of just smirks and grins at Naruto, a little bit, trying to be kind of friendly because he can see Naruto's powerful as fuck. His power just rivals that of anyone. Just so strong. This is where Naruto just grins, his teeth just gets bigger. This is where, in the Kage booth, this is where we go into Minato Namikaze, Orochimaru being discussed as the Kazekage. This is where there is also the Raikage. The Raikage in Naruto's eyes and Minato kind of hating him, but yeah. And this is where, that's the only Kages that there is. This is where Inoki didn't send anyone, so yeah. Because he didn't really care, but yeah. So where, the matches begin. And of course, they were, first it is Naruto. This is when Naruto says, "It seems like we're gonna fight, Gaara." This is where Gaara says, "It seems so." He doesn't say it creepily. He's kind of scared from Naruto's power. This is where Naruto says, "Let's see who's the strongest." This is where Naruto unsheathes his blade, and power just rains down upon everyone. This is where Minato widens his eyes. That power Why does it feel so similar? This is where he widened his eyes. Naruto. That's the only person that he can think of. But this is where this power is so much more stronger and stronger than Naruto. This is where Minato's thinking, wait, could it be Naruto? No, I killed Naruto the last time I saw him. So where, well, what's it called now, Sasuke? Orochimaru widened his eyes at power. That just raw strength of power. It's scary. It seems like that kid is going all out. This is where Naruto kind of pulls out his blade and just was about to swing at, well, Gaara. But instead of swinging at Gaara, he swings at the Hokage booth. This is where he sent a raw energy power of a slice straight towards Minato, Raikage, and Kazekage. This is where the Raikage just dodges. He like jumps away. This is where Minato, he gets almost hit. This is where he managed to use the flying Raijin. And this is where Orochimaru dodges. This is where, well, a war is actually breaking out. This is where, well, everyone is confused until, well, Kabuto thinks it's a good time to just do the Genjutsu. So he does the Genjutsu because he doesn't know what to do. He's thinking that Orochimaru might have been discovered. But this is where that blast was not trying to hit Orochimaru or the Raikage. It was right towards, well, Minato. This is where the Raikage was about to attack, well, Naruto, until Naruto disappeared from his view and tried to cut at Minato, saying die! This is where he does another powerful slice. And I should mention these slices are basically yellow energy. So yeah, just like the color Naruto, not Gaara, Kenpachi has. But yeah, and this is where, well, Minato managed to dodge, and this is where he widens his eyes. This is where he says, so you're Naruto. Damn it, I thought you died. This is where Naruto says, you think I'm dead? I'm going to kill you. He's right now trying to slash at Minato. Minato's dodging, but yeah. This is where Kushina widened her eyes, seeing that this is Naruto. But this is where multiple Mist ninjas, Dark ninjas, and even Snow ninjas are right now attacking Konoha. This is where the Sound ninjas are confused, because when they saw that army, they were kind of confused. But this is where they just saw that they're attacking Konoha. So what the Sound and, the Sand does is basically attack Konoha also. This is where the Kazekage Orochimaru decides to attack Minato, and seeing that Naruto's right now trying to cut at Minato. This is where Orochimaru pulled out his blade, the Kizunaki blade, and tries to pierce it at, well, Minato. Minato managed to dodge and realize that both Orochimaru and maybe Naruto are working together. He doesn't know. But really, they're not working together. But it seems their teamwork is good. They're right now slashing at Minato, but not trying to claim with their own blades together. This is where, well, Orochimaru is kind of working along with Naruto. Not as a team, they're just trying to kill Minato. Minato is saying, that's it, flying Raijin level. This is where Naruto grabs the flying Raijin, breaks in his hand before he can even throw it behind him. This is where Minato widens his eyes. This is where he says, screw it, Rasengan. This is where he was about to hit Naruto, and Naruto, he just takes the Rasengan on. He gets hit by it, but doesn't get pushed back. He grabs Minato from the arm, breaks it, and then pulls out his blade and slashes it off. This is where Minato screams like, ah! This is where the Raikage doesn't know what to do. Seeing that the Leaf Village is getting attacked by so many villagers, that he decides to tell Samui, Amoe, and Karu, and even what's it called, Killer Bee, who was there, and Yujito, who was actually the sensei of them, to let's just get the fuck out of here. No one cares about this shit. So of course they run. So of course this is where, well, Menmo widening his eyes, seeing Naruto, and this is where he says, that's it, I need to go into the Naruto club. This is where he goes into a two-toe club, but this is where before he even rushes towards to help his father, this is where Emma kicks him right in the head, kicking him straight in towards multiple people, mostly multiple Konoha ninjas, and they're getting killed, while Menma crashes into them, also crushing them too at the same time. This is where Naruto is saying, I'm going to kill you, you bastard. This is where, well, May is also there, sending a giant, powerful water pressure and almost hitting, well, Jiraiya. Jiraiya was there, and he almost gets hit. This is what he says, damn it, I see, so you're the Mizukage. This is where Shinai tries to hit May, but this is where Zabuza appears, blocking the attack. This is where Zabuza says, you were not hurting my, my Mizukage, and tries to cut at Tsunade. Tsunade is right now fighting against one of the legendary, well, not legendary, one of the 7 swordsmen. This is where multiple 7 swordsmen appear, kind of trying to attack, well, Tsunade and Jiraiya, kind of blocking their attempt to get anywhere near, well, Minato Namikaze and help him. This is where Kushina sees her husband kind of fighting against a demon, and this is where she sees Menma fighting against Emma, and this is where Kushina says, Emma, what are you doing? This is where Menma says, what are you doing? Are you helping that demon? Nor Enma says, look here, foolish older brother. He's not a demon. His name is Zaraki Kenpachi, and I should say one thing. Do you know what the meaning of Enma is? This is where Menma says, yeah, the opposite, it's similar spelling like mine. No, you idiot. Menma is not Enma, you moron. My name is different from yours. My name is my name might sound like Menma, but it actually has a greater meaning. It's called the King of Hell, and I will show this village what true hell flames are. This is where Menma sends a very powerful, like, flame attack, hell flames, and these hell flames are purple. And this is where, well, Menma managed to dodge, but he got one of his, like, the chakra cloak kind of burning. So of course he lets go of, well, the chakra cloak a little bit. So of course that burning piece of chakra can fall out. And this is where he's right now trying to fight against Enma. This is where Kushina says, chains. She sends golden chains. Well, yeah, are they golden? Yeah, green or golden? I can't remember. So she sends golden chains at Enma to stop him. This is where Enma pulls out his blade. And this is where he cuts down the chain so easily with these purple flames on his blade. That's where, well, Enma is like smiling and trying to cut down at, well, Menma. This is where Menma says, that's it. He goes into the third tail, but he's right now kind of losing control. This is where he roars, and everyone in their eyes, the 9-tailed cloak, 3 tails. Yamato is trying to stop Enma from doing anything else towards Menma, but this is where Enma goes into the 7-tailed cloak. This is where around him exploded. This is where Enma is now in the 7-tailed cloak and saying, ha, ha, yeah. So yeah, he's in the 7-tailed cloak. He can't go any further because he needs the last bit of chakra from, well, Menma. This is where Menma rushes at him, trying to attack him with the cloak and all that. This is where, well, Menma's dodging, and this is where Menma puts his teeth very sharp and all that, and bites into Menma. This is where Menma widens his eyes. And this is where everyone widens their eyes, but this is where what Menma is doing, or not Menma, Emma's doing, is absorbing the chakra. He's basically just draining all of the chakra that, well, Enma has, the 25%. And this is where Enma now has the 100% of the chakra and soul. This is where he smiles and then kicks Enma in the face. Even though Menma's out of the cloak, Enma's the one to kick him. This is where, boom, he kicks Menma so fast into a wall. Thinking, not so fast, mostly so high, into a wall when he falls down. That's where Kushina's trying to attack Menma, but Menma is right now using his sword and having the same form, the demonic form. This is where right now he's burning through the chains and rushing towards Kushina with blinding speed. Because he does know there's a little bit of Kushina's, well, not Kushina, a little bit of the chakra of the Karama. Well, and of course he's going to take it anyway. And this is where Kushina, she's using multiple chains and seeing that this is not happening. So of course she was about to like tell Yamato to use Whistle. When Yamato tried to use Whistle, that's where ice, ice domain, frozen landscape. This is where everything around Yamato tries to use the Whistle. This is where his Whistle just freezes. This is where he widens his eyes. And this is where Ezra is fighting against him. This is where Yamato's saying, damn it. Kakashi is trying to help his students, well, mostly Sasuke and Sakura, or not Sasuke and Sakura, Sasuke and, well, Sai, but of course they're right now fighting against the other ninjas and all that, and Kakashi's trying his hardest to fight against people. Asuma is trying to stop, well, Enma and Estef from fighting, these Jonin, so yeah. This is where when Asuma tries to get near them, this is where, well, a ninja from a ninja from snow and mostly the Jonin Sensen of Akina, kind of appears, and she says, "Snow Blizzard, what's it called? Snow style, snow blaze, not blaze, blizzard." This is where she sends multiple blizzard snow at Asuma, and this is where she kind of just breathes out of her mouth, and this is where he's kind of feeling his body being frozen. This is where Kurenai appears and tries to attack, well, this Kunoichi, who's a Jonin. This is where she dodges, and right now fighting against Kurenai. This is where, well, Asuma realized that he can get out, and trying to help with the Yamato, but this is where Tetsu appears and puts iron to his fist, and uppercuts Asuma. Asuma gets knocked the fuck out. This is where he gets his jawline fucking broken. This is where Asuma managed to get up and tried to say fire style, well, ash style, great ash breakthrough. This is where Tetsu says iron style, iron crusher. He hits the ground, and of course a wall appears, while multiple rubble appears, and this is where the ash style doesn't affect, well, Tetsu, and Tetsu rushes at, well, Asuma. This is where he says iron crusher head, punches at Asuma. Asuma's face felt like he got shattered. This is where Asuma smashes into multiple walls. This is where Kakashi widens his eyes and trying to help Asuma. But this is where before Kakashi's able to even get through some ninjas, he's getting overwhelmed. This is where he activates his Sharingan and fighting against, well, the ninjas. This is where his Sharingan is taking too much. This is where, well, Kushina is losing, and this is where Henma says, "Goodbye, you demonic bitch." Or not demonic bitch. He says, "Goodbye, you bitch, for hurting my youngest brother. Demonic flame of destruction." This is where he pulls out his blade and cuts her horizontal. This is where, well, not had it pulls out, mostly had it in his left hand and just cuts her horizontal. This is where not Hinata, Kushina widened her eyes. Kushina says, "No, and ma." Her eyes just becomes blank and she dies. And of course her body becomes into purple flames. Hinata, she was actually trying to get away and trying to help, well, Menma mostly. And this is where she did get captured by a, and mostly she got her mouth covered up by Samui. Because Samui says, "You know what, screw it. Let's just take her with us towards the Kumo village. Who cares? It seems this village is going down anyway." This is where Hinata widens her eyes and she tries to fight back, but she gets knocked out by Yujito. This is where Yujito says, let's go then. This is where they take her, and of course they leave. This is where, well, Akina is right now fighting against multiple Kunoichis from the, what's called, village of, well, the Hidden Elite. And of course she's easily defeating them all. This is where, well, the next person that, well, Naruto's still fighting against Minato, and of course Minato is dying slowly. This is where Naruto's fighting against Minato, but also the reanimation of the first, the second, and the third is fighting against, well, Minato. This is where Minato is trying his hardest, but every time he uses his own flying Raijin, the second he uses his own, and of course they kind of cancel each other out. And of course, this is where, well, Minato is trying, but this is where he's losing. This is where his only last option is to kind of, well, use the Shinigami. So that's what he does. He says Shinigami. This is where he has the Shinigami out. But this is where the Shinigami, he looks at Naruto and narrows his eyes. "I see." This is where the Shinigami says, "I see, so you're another Shinigami." This is where, well, Minato is confused, and even Orochimaru, and even the Sound 4, who was there. This is where Naruto says, "I guess you know who I am." "Yes, I know Zaraki Kenpachi from the Soul Society, Shinigami Captain Naruto." "Yep." This is where, well, Naruto takes off his eye patch, and this is where a boost of power just exploded. This is where the barrier started cracking. That power, that raw strength of power. This is where Naruto has both of his eyes out. They're glowing with unbridled power. This is where the sky becomes yellow for a second, but this is where it just changes. This is where something behind Naruto appears. Something, well, demonic a little bit. This is where it's not the Nine-Tails, but a figure, a demonic figure appears. This is where, well, Naruto smiles and says, "It seems that we're going to have to try harder." This is where Shinigami sees the unbridled power, sees that this is Kenpachi Zaraki. Because, well, the Shinigami knows a little bit of the Soul Society. It's just, it's a different world and all that. But of course, he doesn't want to mess with those people. And of course, because some of them are actually stronger than him, even though he's almighty, all potent and all that, well, the Shinigami, but there's some that are actually way stronger than him. So of course, this is where he decides to cancel out the jutsu that Minato casted. This is where Minato widens his eyes, but this is where Naruto has his blade right next to Minato's neck. And this is where a yellow glow is appear right into that blade. This is where Naruto cuts Minato's head off. This is where Minato's head flies up in the air. And this is where Naruto says, "Die, you pathetic bastard." This is where the whole barrier shatters into a million pieces. The first, second, and third just gets obliterated. This is where Orochimaru widens his eyes. Reanimation gets obliterated. Minato is dead. The Shinigami died, or whatever happened to him. And this is where Orochimaru widens his eyes. This is where Naruto appears saying, "And you're next!" Destroys Orochimaru in one shot, cutting him in half, vertical. This is where Naruto sees the 4 sound ninjas and kills them all in an instant. This is where Naruto's power is rivaling that of, well, the Shinigami, the strongest being right now. This is where Naruto's laughing and going, ha 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 ha. Well, he's kind of laughing. Let me say it again. Not ha 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 ha. I'm trying to think of Kenpachi's laughter, but yeah, think of Kenpachi just laughing. So yeah. So of course, it's where Naruto, he's kind of running through, and his power is so strong that actually making gravity bend to his will, pushing everyone down to the ground, anyone that gets close to him. This is where, well, Naruto's walking around. People are just falling down to the ground because of the pressure. Naruto's killing leaf ninjas left, right, destroying buildings with one swing of his blade. This is where Naruto, he's smiling with this evil grin. This like big, fucking huge grin on Naruto's face. This is where Naruto says, "I wonder what Enma's doing." Enma, who is right now fighting against, well, what's it called? Asuma? Well, not Asuma. He was fighting against Yamato. And Yamato was fighting also against, well, Estif. This is where both, what's it called? Enma, who has his purple crown. And this is where Estif has an ice crown. This is where she has this, like, icy blade. Let me show you what it looks like. So this is the blade that, well, Estif has. It kind of is blue. It has like this sapphire blue color towards the blade. And of course the handle is actually silver. And of course the sheath is kind of silver with kind of being white a little bit. But yeah. This is where she says, "Ice style, ice piercing." This is where she managed to pierce Yamato in the chest. This is where Yamato's like, that around that place actually started freezing. And this is where he's like, "Ugh." This is where Enma says, "Enma, king of hell, piercing flames." This is where he pierced the other side. And of course, this is where both Estif and Enma decide to add more power into their blades. Of course, one side decides to freeze fully, the other side burn fully. This is where, well, mostly Yamato got petrified, and one side mostly becoming ice, and the other side became fire, just purple flames. This is where Estif takes out her blade and says, "Very interesting, Enma. It seems that you gotten stronger." This is where Enma says, "Of course. So, what do you want me to call you? Queen of Ice?" This is where Estif says, "Maybe." This is where, "What do you want me to call you? King of Hell? Or should I say King of Fire?" This is where, well, Enma says, "Oh no, you can call me whatever." This is where Naruto appears and says, "What are you two lovebirds doing?" This is where Estif and Enma looks away, blushing. This is where Enma is kind of blushing purple, while Estif is kind of blushing blue. This is where Naruto says, "Whatever. You two can do whatever. I don't care. Right now, I'm destroying multiple mostly multiple ninjas and other things." This is where Naruto sees, well, Kurenai decides to try to stab at Estif. This is where Estif turns around, but this is where the reason why Kurenai is trying to stab Estif and, well, Enma is a reason because she realized that they are actually traitors. She was training traitors. This is where she tries to kill them for betraying the village. And this is where, well, Shino says, bug style, bug training. This is where drains, well, Karnai's, well, body of chakra, killing her in an instant. This is where Shino says, I cannot let her kill my teammates. Or should I say, my only 2 friends. This is where Esdef and, well, Enma kind of kind of like smiles at, well, Shino. And Shino just smiles back. Well, trying to. He doesn't really like showing his smile, but yeah. This is where Naruto says, whatever, I'm going to go kill that gray-haired bastard. This is where he's rushing at, well, Kakashi. Kakashi's getting overwhelmed, but this is where Naruto slashes Kakashi into millions of pieces. And no, you do not hear the theme song, I am the storm that... No, I'm just kidding. But, of course, that's what happens. This is where Sasuke rushes at, well, Esdef and Enma and even Shino, trying to intend to kill them with a kunai. But this is where Enma cuts him into a million pieces, burning his body. This is where SF sees that she's about to get attacked by Sai, and she just freezes him. This is where Shino sees multiple root almost appear, and this is where he says, bug army style. Bug slaughter. This is where he slaughters all the root almost. This is where Naruto sees, well, Danzo, and rushes at Danzo. Danzo pulls out his Sharingan and his Sharingan Eye. This is where he says, Karamatsu Katsu. This is where he tries to put Naruto in the Genjutsu, but he breaks through the Genjutsu, through the brainwash and all that. Reason why is because Naruto's power is too powerful and potent that it just shatters through anything. His raw power. This is where Naruto pulls out his blade, slash at Danzo. Sees Danzo didn't die, does it again, does it about like 10 times, and Danzo's all arms from Sharingan is gone. This is where, well, Danzo's like, damn it. This is where Naruto stabs him in the heart. Then, well, not stab him in the heart, rip his heart by shoving his hand into his chest and ripping it out, breaking in his hand, and then rushing and cutting him down like he's nothing but a pathetic weakling to him. But yeah, this is where next it is, well, Asuma is getting easily destroyed by a Kunoichi from the snow, the same Kunoichi. And of course, this is where, well, the guy who's from darkness. This is where the guy says darkness. Well, he says dark steel. This is where his fist becomes dark instead of being just normal steel. And this is where the community says ice style. Well, she says ice style, blizzary blaze. This is where she sends a powerful, potent ice fire like this fire. Well, fire style, but instead of being a like color of like orange and all that, it's kind of bluish, like icy color. And this is where the Tetsu guy says dark steel punches Asuma straight into the flame, burning him. This is where Shikamaru and Shikamaru's trying to sleep. Choji's trying to be quiet. This is where Shino says, hey guys, you're just gonna stay there, or you're gonna come with me and Enma and what's it called? Well, SF to another village. This is where Shikamaru says, oh, we can do that? Shino says, yeah, of course. This is where Choji says, I'm gonna go. This is where, well, Shikamaru says, yeah, same here. This is where, well, Akina is right now kind of fighting, and of course, she's almost getting overwhelmed by, what's called, more of the, well, ninjas of Leaf, but this is where Naruto smashed down and pawned them, and cutting them all down with one swing of his blade. This is where Naruto says, pathetic. Akina was confused and shocked about Naruto. This is where she sees that katana and is actually very jagged, but of course, very sharp at the same time. Naruto says, whatever, I'm going back to fighting more. So of course he keeps crushing Konoha, and of course this is where more ninjas are going to kill Konoha ninjas. Gaara, who is kind of confused but scared, decides to hide behind Kankuro and Tamari. Well, not hide behind them, mostly get away from anywhere near Naruto. So of course he crushes the Konoha ninjas, but yeah. So of course this is where, at the end of the day, Konoha is no longer a village of the 5 great nations. This is where, well, the Sand Village ninjas realize that their Kazekage is dead, decide to elect, well, kind of Gaara change and become a better person, because if he didn't, Naruto would kill him. So of course he always has that nightmare. So of course he decides to become the Kazekage and become normal. And this is where, well, yeah, he becomes a Kazakage. And this is where, well, the Sound Village, they kind of like someone else to become the Sound Kage. And of course, someone who's actually better in leading. Kabuto actually escapes, but yeah. This is where, well, other people are actually kind of turning back to their lives after this kind of little war. But yeah, this is where Enma has become the full Naito Shinjurgi. And of course, he has, not the full control of the Naito's just yet. He needs 2 more tails, and then he becomes a full Naito cloak. But this is where, he's going to train in that. This is where, we go into, a little time skip about 2 weeks. So, of course, this is where the Mist Village decides to open their borders to show that their village is not pathetic or weak. And of course, the revolution did kind of just died about a year ago. So, of course, she does open her borders, and of course, this is where the village is very populated. With a lot of people being there. Now, I should mention one thing. Mei did manage to kill the Sanins, and also her 7 swordsmen. This is where Chojoro and even Ayo did manage to kill them also. To helping them. Or helping Mei mostly kill them. But yeah. So this is where, the legendary Sanins are a thing of the past. But yeah. This is where it's not called the 5 Great Nations. It's actually called the 4 Great Nations. Because, some villages are actually, somewhat. It's kind of like 5 Great Nations and a half, actually. Because the Sound and the Waterfall village decide to align together to become a bigger village. It's called the Waterfall and Sound, but yeah. Of course, this is where, that is happening. Of course, this is where, the village in the mist actually becomes very popular in another. It actually becomes one of the strongest villages out of all the, 5 another. Yeah, 5. Because, first is the Mist Village. Second, it is the, Kumo Village. Third is the Stone Village. Fourth will still be the Sand Village. And fifth, it is, that kind of 2 kind of village team. But yeah. This is where Naruto is kind of bringing Yoriichi along. And he didn't bring her along during the war. No, he didn't kind of fully trust himself. But yeah. This is where Yoriichi was fine, but instead just got a lot of candy and kind of did make Naruto kind of broke a little bit. Naruto was fine with it, he didn't mind, but yeah. This is where, everyone is kind of relaxing. This is where Enma is kind of talking to Estef and kind of seeing Yoriichi for the first time. Yoriichi kind of just jumps on Enma and saying, what's it called? Uncle, uncle, uncle. This is where she even tells what's it called, Estef aunt. And when she kind of sees Shino and the others, she doesn't mind Shino. She doesn't really hate him or anything. Doesn't get scared of bugs or anything. She doesn't really mind bugs or anything. She can see. She kind of tells Shino, bug guy. She then says for Shikamaru, lazy person. She says lazy bones instead. And she sees Choji and says food guy. This is where Choji kind of chuckles, but yeah. This is where Yoriichi did one time says, so when is Uncle going to get married with Auntie? This is where she says Uncle, Enma, and Auntie, Estef. This is where they blush and they just go away. This is where Naruto's laughing, but yeah. Of course, this is where Estef does kind of train with Haken, but yeah. Of course, this is where we go into a time skip of them being, 17 already. All of them being 17. Naruto's being, of course, about 1 hour younger than what's called Menma, so yeah. Or not Menma, Enma, but yeah. Of course, this is where they're trying to get stronger because they heard about the Akatsuki and their goals and to catch a beet juice. So yeah. But this is where I'm going to leave it off for part 6 of What If Naruto Was the Reincarnation of Zaraki Kenpachi and Was Neglected. Part 6. Now I know it did take a little bit longer than me making in part 6 where he actually does finally kill Konoha. But yeah. Other than that, I'm going to leave it off for this part. Part 7 will probably be the end of this What If. But of course, with all ending of What Ifs, there's probably going to be new What Ifs. Like the one I'm going to try to do of What If Naruto was adopted by the Yakuza. But other than that, I'm going to end it off here. Gotta go do something. well, try to do something because, well, my fucking backyard is basically a lake for birds and fish and other things. But other than that, bye bye, potato, potato, and yeah, good night. Potato.